and welcome to your Scorpio January 2020 reading. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James. For those of you who have dropped by for the first time, and for those of you who have subscribed and who drop by regularly, thank you very much. Great to see you again, and I appreciate your loyalty. It gives me great pleasure to provide these readings to you each month. Well, let's see what there is in store. You know, this deck was provided to me by my daughter, who found it in a flea market. And incidentally, this reading is, of course, for those who have Sun in Scorpio or Ascendant in Scorpio or their Moon in Scorpio. In fact, even in your natal chart, if you have a lot of planets in Scorpio, this is also really good for you. Good on you, Scorpio. Let's have a look. There is the High Priestess. That's an interesting looking card. There is the Six of Stones. See, there's an I Ching on there. What's this? This is the Father of Wands in the East. 1 second. Clearly we need to take that. It is the Two of Swords. Yeah, that's interesting. See, there's an I Ching hexagram there. And the Father of Wands in the East. What does that have to say to us? Brahma. See what energy is coming through. Finally, what's coming out? Here we go. The Nine of Swords. Okay. Which is not a bad card. Certainly not in this spread at all. There's a lot of good things going on. This is an energy on the way out. I won't give it away. Come and sit down next to me. Let's have a good close look at these cards together while I explain what they mean. Okay, here we go. Wow, it looks like you've got a lot of thoughts going on in your head, don't you? That's what's going to be going on. But I'm pleased to say that these things which you maybe are ruminating over, I'll read these two cards together at the end because this card's energy is on the way out, but it needs to be read, I think, in conjunction with this. It's a good story. Let's have a look to see what there is here first. And what is this first card? It is the High Priestess. Well, the High Priestess, what does it say here? Well, we have a couple of symbols which I'll talk about. This is a rune, a Viking rune called Uruz, and this is a ancient mystical letter called Gimel, which literally means camel, and I'll get to that in just a second. But what can we say about this High Priestess? You might be able to make her out. Just there's her head there, the moon above her, her two hands coming up. Behind this sphere, she is hidden. She has a lot of subconscious energy for you in there because she's very much associated with the moon. The moon represents cycles and going with the flow of life. And I think this might be something of a theme for you at the moment. The moon says to you that you should guard against information being withheld from you. This priestess of the silver star, as I say, says, uncover secrets and trust your intuition during this period, and guard against being lied to. So look behind the words of other people. Use that fine mind of yours to gauge what people's motives are, and make sure that you have highly tuned listening skills here so that you can pick up all the information. This is about balance, intuition, insight. A great degree of independence is what I'm getting here, and self-knowledge. And I think that what is going to also be the case is that there is a feeling here of freedom. I think that you will be unwilling to limit or restrict yourself during this period, or to allow other people to restrict you. It is the beginning of a creative cycle, and I think you'll be asserting your independence. Certainly you're going to have an increase in your self-esteem, and you'll become aware of intuition as a gift. This really is a time for you to be discovering the oasis that resides within you. I'd have this thought in mind: I trust my intuitive abilities. I deeply honor and value the human being that I am. I am intuitive and perceptive. I trust myself and honor my sense of integrity. Well, I think this can also talk about some alone time for you, where you work out what it is that you really want to do, and let your mind go through the process of mulling that over and deciding, processing information. So, well, that's not unusual for January, I guess, because this is a time of year where typically we tend to do these things. But I think what you'll come to the conclusion is that changes on the inside are necessary to make changes on the outside. And I think there is a need for you to connect more with your intuitive and feminine side. Now, if any men happen to be listening to this, don't be concerned, because we all have a feminine side. It is just that our masculine side predominates. And the same can be said in reverse for the females. They have a male side. It's just that the feminine predominates. So it is a time, I think, of great self-evaluation and self-learning, I think. But there's some good news, I think, associated with this, because this rune, the runes, of course, were the alphabet of the Vikings. And as legend has it, the king of the gods, Odin, hung upside down for 9 days and 9 nights after having pierced himself with a spear, and gazed into a well that was at the bottom of the Tree of Life. That Tree of Life, incidentally, contained the 9 worlds of the Viking religion, the 9 worlds in which people can reside. And he neither ate nor drank during that period, but at the end of the 9th day, the end of that night, as night was coming, the runes made themselves perceptible to him, and he could make out their character. And more importantly, the runes are not just symbols for human sound, for speech, but rather they are a mystical window into the consciousness of the unknown, beyond the 3 veils of a negative existence. Now, this rune, Ures, is the rune of strength and good health, and sometimes it can also refer to the advancement of a career. It may also represent the male, one with strong emotions in a relationship. Now, this rune is a good indicator that your wish or dream will come to pass. Uruz indicates a time of great energy and health for you. It is also a rune of sudden or unexpected change, but change which is usually for the better. And drawing this suggests that your finances, but it depends on how it's cast with other runes, but generally where there are other favorable runes around it, it means that your finances should improve, but this will only happen through hard work. It says also that there will be new challenges and responsibilities along with the strength to take them on. This rune, Uruz, brings the message of good fortune, exciting events, and success. I turn now to this letter here. This is actually the 3rd letter of the ancient biblical Hebrew alphabet, and it's called Gimel. Now, there are 2 letters that precede it. Beth is the 2nd letter, and Aleph is the 1st. And the 2nd letter, Beth, and it's interesting we have a 2 here, that indicates the appearance of duality in the material universe for the first time. That is a separation, a separateness, because prior to the appearance of matter, time and space, the emergence of it from out of spirit, there was only oneness. Well, what this letter does is it is the 3rd principle which arises to resolve and harmonize the opposites that occur in duality. It is a dynamic balance between opposing powers. So this is a symbol of constant transformation, change, and motion. And as I say, it translates literally as camel, an animal that we associate with motion and travel between faraway places. Gimel includes the opposites of both giving and receiving, and reward and punishment, creating balance and motion between these two opposites. It resolves, it brings together the giver and the receiver, so it represents also giving and receiving. It represents kindness and cultivation and the organic nurturing that causes things to grow. Yeah. I think it says that really it does certainly for me signify the divinity's eternal benevolence to all of creation, manifested with abundant life and prosperity. Now let's have a look at the card underneath it, because I think this is quite interesting. And this card below it is, let's have a look at it, the Two of Swords. See, a lot of people are afraid of the Suit of Swords, but I actually, I love them. I think they have a lot to... excuse me, while I bash my head against the camera. They have a lot to tell you. Well, the Lord of Peace restored. This, astrologically for me, is the moon ruling the first decan of Libra. You know, that 23rd of September to about the 2nd of October. Now, this is a really happy combination, the moon ruling Libra, because your moon sign describes your instinctive or emotional energies. Now, with the moon in the sign of Libra, you're likely to have a deep need for peace and harmony in your life. Now, as you know, Libra is symbolized by the scales relating to any area of life that requires balance, and this can include your personal environment or work or relationship with others. The purpose of this card really for me is that of neutrality, being neither good nor bad, so it's balance. It's balance. And I think what we might be saying in relation to it, let me just pull that out a bit for you. You can move over there for the time being. I think what we can say about this card is that you might be having a hard time making up your mind about something and can't make a choice. It's not a big problem, I don't think, but it's sitting in the background and it's going to surface every now and again. I get the feeling that you're going to be dealing with the pros and the cons of a situation, weighing things up. Now, although this is headed up as peace, there can sometimes be a feeling of stagnation or being passive associated with it. Do you know, I think that you might actually lack the information that you will need to make a right decision at this time. But when you do get it, it's like the light goes on and you can see the situation for what it is, and you will be in a much better position to make the decision that is right for you. Yeah, with the Two of Swords, I think decisions that you make at the moment should be geared to bringing harmony and peace in your life, and have this thought that deep peace fills my heart. I thought we might also have a look at this hexagram here. Now, the I Ching is the ancient Chinese divinatory tool. I Ching actually comes from the Book of Tao. Sometimes people call it Tao, which is the Book of Changes, almost like the Book of Life. It gives an insight into what is going to happen to people. It's probably the oldest divinatory form that we have a record of, but of course people have been practicing magic for hundreds of thousands of years. In any event, the I Ching is made up of a number of different lines that are either unbroken or broken. Now, the unbroken lines, like this one here and the two above it, are masculine and they are yang, whereas the broken lines are female and they are yin. And so the meaning of any hexagram, and there are others in here, in fact you've got more here, You've got so many Chinese hexagrams in your spread here that you might need to change your passport and move. But this hexagram here, I'm looking yang yang yang, yin yin yin. Yeah, well, that's the hexagram meaning peace or tie. And the action that it suggests is that you should just really, I'll pull this out now that we've seen the hexagram. What was I saying? That the action that's really recommended, I think, by this is that you should just relax at the moment. Don't get carried away with things. If you've got things troubling you in your mind, manana, don't worry about it. I think that what this is, of course, it is heaven. Heaven is by these three unbroken lines below earth, below the Mother Earth. And it's about all things moving upward and in harmony, and about transformation. Now, peace is about going with the flow. What you are worrying about today won't be as important as it is tomorrow. That's what this is saying. And anything that had previously been out of place or difficult is now receding. And this card here is receding away, and we'll get to that at the end probably, depending on which way I'm directed to go. So the chances are, I think that you really should feel relieved to see this hexagram. However, in order to know peace, you need to experience lack of peace or discord. Hot is only relevant to cold, and similarly, up is meaningless without the idea of down. More importantly, peace is an outlook you can carry with you at all times by remembering cycles. Yet peace can be lulled into tranquility and lead to stagnation. Actually, that's what I was getting from this sort of feeling here. This psychic feeling I was having was about possibly a feeling of stagnation, or don't let tranquility devolve into stagnation. Yeah. I think the message here might well be just to calm down and relax. Take it easy, but there is still an element of change happening. This change, however, is, I think, permeating the situation, and it could be difficult to grasp because you are being coached by the forces, the spiritual forces at the moment, to discover rather than to try and overlay your present experience with your past assumptions. Does that make sense? Don't use what has worked in the past as a way of resolving things at the moment or in the future. It can be a profound message about seeing the profound reason that heaven's answer can sometimes be no. But that comes with the words of the mother to the child, which is, shh, everything is going to be okay. It all has a good purpose and it's all going to work out fine. And it is. And if you are feeling stressed, the hidden influences under this card ask you to align your will to the way, rather than rush ahead and organize tomorrow. Just enjoy and learn from today. And I think really, though, this is saying, although I thought psychically there could be a period of stagnation which is arising, I think what this I Ching hexagram is saying is that a period of stagnation is transforming into growth and openness. And if you have had any disagreements, things should improve considerably. This is an excellent symbol for relationship questions because it shows that the will of heaven is flowing, so go with it. So let's see what the next card is that we might deal with. Where shall we go? Well, actually, I think we will just stay in this line here. And this card is Brahma, the father of wands in the east. Well, I could go on forever about Brahma. Brahma is the Hindu creator god. He's also known as the grandfather and as the later equivalent of Prajapati, the primeval first god. Now, in the early Hindu sources, such as the Mahabharata, Brahma is supreme in the trinity of great Hindu gods, which includes Shiva and the female Vishnu. What I might say about this card is, first of all, he is the fiery part of fire. The Lord of Flame and Lightning, I call him. Now, this could well be you during this period, is what I'm getting. And of course, the genders of these court cards are mutable. They can be either male or female. So I think this has got a real connection to you during this period. Now, it could also be a Sagittarius, is what I'm getting also as well. And this period of stagnation, I think, which you were thinking about here, or going through, I think it's going to be replaced, and it's going to be replaced by activity, because the moral qualities of this person are someone who is active, generosity, almost impetuosity. I think you'll have a great deal of pride during this period. And you'll be very fast and almost kind of unpredictable in your action, maybe even quite fierce in how you go about things. I think what this can indicate sometimes is that there could actually be some quite unusual or, quite significant qualities contained in events which are occurring around you during this time. But that you should nevertheless, though, remain cool and collected and resolute and energetic, and be careful of the actions that you take. Nothing that isn't well thought out, but keep going forward with an alert confidence in your ability. This is pretty much, I think, a sort of a short action card for me. There's lots of energy associated with this, and there's also the ability to be able to dig deep, and follow instinct is what I'm getting from it as well. I think what we can say here is that you should be really finding your vitality. Let your hair down, just kick back and relax, let your hair down. Give yourself a bit of a pep talk and believe that you can do it. Because you can, and trust your instinct. Can sometimes mean traveling, can sometimes mean changing jobs. Certainly creative ideas that you have are going to be brought into action, but what I will say to you more than anything else is have courage of your convictions. Now, it may well be that something turns up that requires you to take immediate action, because this is a guy who moves very quickly. So it could well be that immediate action is needed here. Have this thought in mind that every challenge which arises helps me grow. Every storm just strengthens my roots, because that's what it does for you. Okay, well, let's have a look at the next card, shall we? Now, these two, as I said before, I want to read together. And you will understand why this card is actually on the way out, and based on, although it's linked to these things that we've spoken of. This card is sitting on top of it, so its energy is also pushing down on it. The energy from this court card is pushing down on it, but let me not give too much away. Let's deal first with this, which is the Six of Stones. Actually, I'll hold it out for the time being because, well, you can go up here for the time being because you have done your job, and then I'll go down into the hexagram. But this Six of Stones, look, for me it's the moon ruling the second decan of Taurus, about that 1st to the 10th of May. The moon ruling Taurus, that's what I'm getting in the card. Now that's particularly good because in ordinary astrology the moon is exalted in Taurus, which is a good sign. But the moon, as you know, is transient in nature, and it means, and this is entitled success, it means that success can be short-lived. But there's nothing unusual in that, because success is not a continuum. Success is something that happens here, then it happens there, then it happens there, but it says it's going to happen. The moon in Taurus is also good because the moon likes nurturing and comfort, and Taurus likes material things, so they are well suited to bringing about success. So I see success here, generosity, and paying it forward. I think there's a very good chance that you could receive a financial boost. It may well be for anybody who is applying for a scholarship or a grant. I think that could be well received. And should people be trying to access the welfare system, I think that application is going to be well met. I'm getting a good feeling about money around this. Could well be the opportunity to be involved in a profitable adventure. But it's a reminder also for you to remember the success in your life and build from there. You know, when we sometimes have a goal that's out there, it looks like it's on top of a mountain. It looks like we have to try and climb up a mountain to get to it. But we tend to forget, don't we, that during our lives we have already built a mountain, and we're sitting on the mountain of our experience and what we've achieved to date. And so it's really, to get to the other place, it's not so much a matter of going up, it's actually a matter of going across. So you need to get your mind right as to how you approach these things here. Certainly there's going to be a desire for success, and the advice of the card, I think, is that you need to be willing to risk, to be committed, trust your intuition. Have this thought in mind: my self-acceptance and self-confidence are the keys to real success. Yep, that really is the case, because you yourself are like a business, aren't you? And you can go forward every day of the week. Now, here we go. Now that you've got your new passport, we'll have a look at this I Ching that's here. Let me have a look at this one. Yang, yin, yang, yang, yin, yang. Okay, that is the hexagram feng, it's called in Chinese, which means to fulfill. Now, what this is saying to me, now that we've looked at it, we can go back. What this is saying to me is that in nature, we see how all things flow towards increase and decrease. The top or the height of fullness is what is expressed, I think, in this hexagram here. Right? However, at the height of fullness, you've got to keep positive, even when events start to move in the opposite direction, as they always do. Everything is a cycle of up and down. Like the noon at the sun at noon, rather, that begins to move towards decrease. We hold to the expanded awareness of an abundant state of mind, regardless of how events unfold. You've got to keep that state of mind, which is that of abundance. Actually, on my playlist, on my channel, there is a section there which is about the law of abundance, and there's a few videos which I've uploaded that I did, which may assist you if you want to know more about how to go about doing that in a simple way, which isn't full of baloney. I think that while this hexagram has a positive message, it can also show a situation sometimes that could be overwhelming you, and that you may not be seeing it clearly. But the clarity of enlightenment comes when awareness is activated through this motion of increase and decrease. Now, this can mean finding peace even when a situation is decline. Operating from a mindset of abundance means that by expecting that everything is moving exactly as it should, you need not hold on to anything, Because your arms are open, nothing comes to threaten your sense of peace. When operating from a state of scarcity or lack, you're afraid of losing, and you cling too tightly to what you think you need. And in this condition, life can appear to be fighting you. Well, the lesson of this hexagram is to realize that abundance exists. It will return. Sometimes your arms need to be set free to embrace fearlessly so that you can receive. But this is saying that for now, enjoy this period where your success shines brightly, and examine whether you are holding to scarcity or to abundance. Make peace with the path and trust what is unfolding will lead you where you need to be, because life's only constant is change. Now let me see what this guy has to say. And let me focus. You go up there again as you did before, and let's focus down and have a look at it. The 9. Well, first of all, I'll say I love the number 9. It's the sacred number. Well, here we have something of a melodramatic scene, don't we? There are no intrinsically good or bad cards in tarot for me. I read them as I'm told to read them. But this is Mars ruling the second decan of Gemini, that 1st to the 11th of June. Now, Mars ruling Gemini, well, the one-pointed nature of Mars is very impersonal and aggressive and just straight at it. It just has a goal, and that's what it is. So that one-pointed nature of Mars does not sit well with the scattered energy of Gemini. Now remember, this is on the way out, and you can see from what we've spoken before how this has come about and why this residual thoughts in your mind are coming around, but why they're being overcome. People who basically are born with Mars in Gemini get all fired up, and they can use words as their weapon. It's a sort of a cruelty that they use. And I have associated with the number 9, for me, mystically, the moon. And so the moon develops a passivity against the onslaught of Mars. You know, there is an angel that has an association with the energy of this card, and it's called Hariel. And his attribute is that of Creator God, and that's one of the 72 names of God, Hariel, from chapter 14 of the book of Exodus. Look, they were derived from 3 verses, 19 to 21. I won't go into how that happened, but that name, Hariel, substitutes for the name of Lord in another book of the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament called the Book of Psalms, and I'm pretty sure it's Psalm 94, verse 22, that says, "But the Lord is my haven, my God is my sheltering rock." Now, meditating on that verse, 94, verse 22 of Psalms, it will bring long-range vision to you, and will help clear your vision and foresight, and will remove momentary illusions, and you'll feel more through intuition and understand how things are fitting together. And you will get peace of mind about things that have probably been troubling you. I'd have this thought in mind anyway, which is I am loved simply because I am the way I am. Now, even though this energy is going out, as I say, it's important, I think, to have a look at this I Ching that's down here. Now, this I Ching, this one here, that's called Sung in the Chinese. And what this is saying is that I think that, and bear in mind that this is on the way out, but nevertheless, let's treat it as being something which is residual and still somehow occupying some space in your mind, shall we? You are being sincere, but you may feel obstructed. A cautious halt halfway brings success in the sense of meeting another in the middle to try and regain trust. I think what's happening here, and the feeling that I'm getting, is that you are being asked to let go of defenses in order to find proper support. Now, there is a hidden influence of family here, and it suggests that discussing expectations and agreeing upon roles can aid the situation. I think there are times where you must avoid contentiousness, argument, and hide your inner light. But a purely selfish approach, possibly, and I mean this with respect, could have brought whatever the situation was that you're feeling bad about, or were feeling bad about, but it's on the way out for the reasons that I gave. So it's important to confront and discuss any disagreements rather than to remain silent. Conflict, of course, is the driving force of the change in nature and of life. Opposites are what turn the wheel of Tao around and the wheel of fortune, so don't be put off by a sense of opposition or conflict. Expect it and plan for it, but understand its creative nature rather than responding to the friction defensively. And, difficult though this may sometimes be, and I know I struggle with it myself, allow conflict to lift you to a higher level in your thinking. This open and accepting attitude ensures that any difficulty can be treated with respect and transformed into an opportunity. When meeting arguments, contention, aggravations in another person, sometimes it's saying that at the moment it could be wise to just let go of your point of view, go with the flow, and look within. That's really what I'm getting for you. So a very interesting month for you, and a very interesting person you are, so I'm not surprised. And that's the way it is for you this month. Well, there you go, January 2020. I have to say this, that you were absolutely fantastic during that reading, and I loved doing it for you. I think this is going to be a great year for you, and have a fantastic January. And all I have to say is this, and remember always that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, bye for now.